All right, Grow Family. So next I'm introduced to you for our Mother's Day kind of special is someone that's absolutely special to me. We have gone to Haiti together. It's kind of when I first met Maeann Hardin. Had played golf with Michael, and I got to know him. Y'all started coming to the church, and then I met Maeann. And Maeann is first class, fantastic lady. And as we spent time in Haiti on a mission trip, the people that don't go on mission trips don't understand. There's nowhere for you to go. Like, you're boxed in. You're in another country, and so you get to know people. And I got to know Maeann and got to know her heart and a little bit of her story and a little bit about how she is as a mom and all your fantastic children and know all your kids and just we've all kind of got different stories. Of course, you've got grown kids. Yes, so talk to me a little bit, Maeann, about why Mother's Day is special to you on Mother's Day, raising the kids that you're raising, because you're always on Twitter. I don't know about Facebook. I don't do Facebook, but on Twitter you're always showing pictures of your kids and these great mother's quotes. So tell me what's so special about being a mother on Mother's Day.
I guess for me it's to see my children now that they are, I guess, grown, even though I do still think of them as my children. They always will be my babies.
Yeah.
But it's so much pride that I feel in my heart to see that they've survived. Number one, I didn't kill them.
Yeah, you did it.
I did it. And not only that, but they just have wonderful hearts. I've got some amazing, Michael and I together have some amazing children, some great hearts, servant hearts. They really, they love the Lord, they want to serve, and it's good to see them still wanting to do that as they go into their own adult lives.
I mean, if you really think about, as a mom and as a dad, you and Michael, on Mother's Day, thinking about your kids and kind of a blended home, which is great and hard all at the same time. But if you think about what all's in your home, and I know I'm going to forget some stuff, but you've got a child that you're raising that's in the military. Yeah, and what a fantastic parental goal to have somebody that would serve your country and that they're right there in your home. You've got one, this is a really cool one. You've got a child that you raised that was on if I get this wrong, forgive me, the Tennessee Marching Band Color Guard.
She was.
Right? Yes. Charlie.
Loved it.
And it's kind of one of those things where I would go, Mandy and I would go, and when she was marching, we were like, I know she's down there, like she's with us. But you raised one of those. And then you got one that has been a collegiate football player and a kicker. And so you're kind of you're the mom that's got like the multiple collegiate stickers on the back of your car.
Yes.
And they're like, that lady's mixed up. They don't realize like you got a little piece of you in all of them. And then you got one that is serving by coaching at their own high school on soccer, and it actually tonight won their first district game.
They did. First district, go Jackets.
And I'm sure I forgot stuff, but if you think about that, what a fantastic journey so far as mom.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, and how good God's been to you.
No, absolutely.
Now, I know they can probably tell stories too.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they may eat later today. Depending on what y'all have for lunch and how it goes. But today they're supposed to be on their best behavior because it is Mother's Day after all. But Mother's Day too, as we've been sharing, is not just about joy. Sometimes there's silent pain that people don't know about. And so you're excited about Mother's Day. I know that you are. But you've got an interesting story. And why don't you share a little bit of that? Why is Mother's Day a little bit different for you?
In 1970, I was born in Nashville, in Davidson County, Tennessee, and I was immediately placed into a foster home, a church children's home, because my birth mother apparently knew that she was giving me up for adoption. There were two people here in Kingston, Tennessee, a man and a woman who had just the year before had a miscarriage at 6 months into the pregnancy, or actually a stillbirth, and she's buried in Knoxville, and they had gone through some of the works to adopt. And so when I was 2 months old, they got a phone call from this children's home in Nashville that told them there was a baby girl there if they wanted to come to Nashville and see her. And I'll never forget, my mama told me on my 16th birthday, she said, we didn't go to see this baby girl, we went to go get our baby girl. And so they drove, my mom and dad drove to Nashville and got me, and so I've grown up with them. That's my mom and dad. That's who I called mom and dad, and that's who is my mom and dad.
Yeah, so your picture is a little bit different. You got your mom and your dad there. I'm assuming that's your wedding day with Michael.
Yes, it is.
And you look beautiful, and so do your mom and dad. But your Mother's Day experience is quite different. And one of the things I've been open and honest about is I have a heart for adoption. I have my wife and I have a heart for adoption. We've not walked through that door yet, and I think even when we talk to people, it kind of freaks them out because we do have 5. But it's a spirit of I believe God gives us, and His Scripture talks about loving folks who are literally orphans that don't have a mom or dad. And when you start sharing that, I think sometimes that seems like such a stretch. Like, when Maeann rolls into church on Sunday morning, nobody's thinking, hey, that lady's adopted, right? Nobody's thinking, hey, that lady doesn't know her biological mother. And I don't say that inappropriately. I just say that just quite frankly, that's a silent pain that you carry. But what they also don't understand is that in 1970, there was a man and a woman, a young man and a young woman, who were praying that God would give them a home of children, and you were introduced to your true mom and dad.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think for me, when I know that story, and I know that's kind of where you come from, it moves me, because here you are, and you carry that. There has to be a certain amount of pain associated with it, to an extent that maybe you grow through, but there has to be this unbelievable story of grace and joy and just family.
I think I may have grown up that maybe sort of odd child, where I really didn't go through. I'm sure there were probably a couple of times when I was mad at my parents for a punishment or a consequence or of something, and said they're just doing this because I'm adopted. But I honestly have always had this idea or this philosophy that it was such a blessing for me that I've never really had an empty spot. I've never had an emptiness. I've never really felt a pain about adoption. And again, that may be odd. Some people may not understand that, but I think that I just have always realized how fortunate I was, the opportunities that these parents gave me, the things that they taught me, the things they instilled in me, have made me who I am, and that I think hopefully I've passed some of those really good things on to my own children. And I don't know, it's for me, there's not even really a bittersweet. It's all such a blessing for me.
And I think that's the thing that most of us maybe even underestimate. When it's not our story, when we don't know how to connect those dots. When my wife and I are praying, God, would you use our chaotic home of all these kids and our desire to be a mom and dad for a little Maeann, whether she's in Nashville or in Haiti or wherever she might be or he might be. And there's moms and dads sitting in our church this morning that have that same opportunity, have that same heartbeat. And I think you are the epitome and the reflection of everything that goes great in that scenario.
Sure.
To where, you weren't even at a point where you didn't know what you didn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And your parents weren't at a point where they were probably not even smart enough to know what they were about to get into.
Right.
And God took both of those willingness and vulnerability and meshed them into a relationship that's unbelievable. What would you say, and I think you would have a unique perspective, I think, and I would be interested to know your heart on this. I grew up in a divorce home, and I've shared that story, and my mom remarried, and I have a great relationship with my stepfather. And I'm kind of like you. I wasn't one of those that kind of grew up with a chip on my shoulder because my mom and dad were divorced. I don't think my mom would have allowed it anyways, and so I was kind of scared too. But I just kind of it's not my personality. I just kind of took what I had and worked through it. But I had this unbelievable man in my life that loved me. And he had no reason to love me except for he married my mom. And I knew, and I know now, I don't think I recognized it younger, but he chose to love me.
Yes.
Right? And I think, you know, when I think about my dad, and I call him my dad, my stepdad, I call him my dad, he didn't have to make that choice. He could have provided me a great home. He could have provided me with what I needed. He could have taken care of me and my brother. He could have loved my mother great, and a byproduct to be that me and my brother benefited of that. But he made a conscious decision every day to call me his son to other people, and that's why I call him Dad. What does it mean to you to know that those two people in that photo, and I know they're your mom and dad, but even deeper than that, they chose to love you?
Sure. I think it was for my 13th birthday. My mom had cross-stitched a piece that hangs in my home that says, "Not flesh of my flesh, nor bone of my bone, but still miraculously my own. Never forget for a single minute, you didn't grow under my heart, but in it." And that's what I think that means to me as far as the relationship, that whether adopted, whether step-parent, because as a stepmom, I can easily say that I love my stepchildren just as much as my own children that I gave birth to. My nephew that is adopted, Rivers, is 5, and I love him just as much as if my sister had given birth to him. There's something about, yes, that choice, but when God places people in your life in that way, I think you don't do him justice if you don't love them that way. Because that's what true love is all about. That's what his meaning of true love is all about. It's not about anything that they do or anything that they earn or anything that they can say to you to make you love them more, or even any part of you physically that makes you love them more. That's what the true love to me is all about, but as a mom, as a mother. And I guess I really learned that from my mama.
And I think, you know, what you learn from your mom, and you have this unique perspective, but it truly is from your mom and your dad. I know it's Mother's Day, but it's a Christ-like love. It's a love that loves unconditionally out of choice to love you. What would you say to all those folks that are sitting out there, that those mamas and daddies, maybe to those ladies out there that struggle because maybe they don't know who their mama is, and maybe they're not as far down that road as you are of trust and sweetness. Maybe they're still kind of, you know, maybe you're struggling with a little bit of bitterness. I'd like to know what you would say to them, her, and what would you say to that man or woman out there that's contemplating opening their home to a boy or a girl they've never seen, but they wake up in the middle of the night and they know.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Jeremiah 29:11. I mean, God has that plan. And whether you are that adopted child or person who feels like something's missing, God has that plan. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. He's got that. And again, that's where his grace is sufficient. I had to write a bio for a group that I helped speak about adoption and advocate for adoption with, and that's how I ended it. His grace is sufficient for all the rest of it. We can worry about it. We can be upset about things that we can't control. We can, and we do. I know we all do. I've done it myself. But at the end of the day, his grace is sufficient, and we have to turn it over to him and trust him, because he's got that plan. It may not be on our timeline.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's not, and that can be frustrating. But he's got that. He's got it.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm thankful to call you my friend, and I'm so thankful for what God's doing in your life. And I hope that God opens doors for moms and dads, and maybe even other men and women to come and talk to you about their experiences, and maybe even what God may be calling them to do. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Hey, I appreciate you listening to Maeann's story this morning. Maybe if you're there this morning, maybe you still kind of figured out this whole parent thing and who your mom or your dad is. I hope that Maeann would just be able to speak into your heart and say, God does have a plan for you, and you may not understand it all, but God understands it all, and his grace is sufficient. And I would say this to you too. If you're thinking about giving your life or opening your home, to a little boy, little girl, whether it's here or internationally or wherever it might be, don't think long. There are so many more stories of unconditional love to be told if you just open your heart and your home to those that need that love of Christ. You're their mom and dad. They just don't know it yet. Thank you so much for listening.